is your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com. That was brand new music from the band Vader. The name of that tune was Into Oblivion. It is from the Solitude of Madness release. Brand new stuff from this super heavy death metal band. And on the line is the guitarist and the vocalist of the Mighty Vader. It is Piotr Wiwczarek. How are you, Peter?
How's it going?
Good, real good, man. It's always good when new Vader comes along because you guys are one of those bands that when you get a release, you don't, whether it's an EP or even a full-length album, you pretty much know that you're about to get bludgeoned by just extreme metal, and no let up here, man. Solitude of Madness is outstanding.
Thank you, dude.
Oh,
as we busy guys, so we do music, we create music, if not playing, touring. But, the situation at the moment is bad. So we stay home, trying to prepare for the next trip. That will be as soon as possible, but who knows when. But we need to be ready, like always.
Right, of course. And, it's a weird thing with the situation that we're all in here around the world with everybody being quarantined. In a way, this might be a good thing for a band like Vader that, there's going to be so many people that are sitting home looking for new music to listen to and new bands to discover. And certainly while you guys have been around for a very long time, there's a lot of people, especially younger people, that probably have not experienced your music before that might while they're sitting at home, don't you think?
Yeah, every bad side's got good side, right?
Yep.
This global situation actually forced us to stay home, which is actually the only way to kill the pandemic, so we have to stay separated. But all in all, we have that tool called internet, so we can stay separated in the flesh, but we can stay connected between friends, like with all the world, just using that, great tool, And that's what we do now, by the way. And, at the moment, so been waiting for the release of a new album. So I just use that time when I'm home. So Vader, as you mentioned, is a busy band. And usually we're not touring, we're recording. So we focus pretty much on the music. So finally we can use the situation, not just for promotion, also just to stay with family, stay home, slow down a bit. In that fast, quick life,
Sure.
And just use it, and and as I said, like I'm an optimistic person, so I know that the situation expect pretty much discipline from us, cooperation, but I'm sure that sooner or later the problem will be solved and we will hit the road again.
Sure. You're not going to get lazy on us and just decide you're comfortable staying home, are you?
It's, as I said, sometimes I need it. It's like we are busy for the last years, and we did not have that much time just to relax a bit. So using that time now, so we just combine relaxing with work, because as I mentioned before, so this is a time to inform fans about what's coming up.
Sure.
I mean, a new Vader album. And so that's what I'm doing now at the moment.
Absolutely. Well, Peter, 16 albums or 16 releases so far. And the surprising thing for a band like Vader, for any band really that stays around as long as you have, you guys continue to get heavier with every release. At this point, a lot of your contemporaries have either broken up or they've mellowed somewhat. I would argue with most people that Solitude of Madness is the heaviest release that you've done to date.
I got the feeling, I could just divide Vader's story into some chapters, and definitely the first one was kind of a race between the bands, like kind of competition and speed. Not maybe literally, because like we are friends, and it was nothing about like competition, the real competition, but you know, it's just like influencing each other. We wanted to play faster, stronger, more brutal, you know. And I think for Vader, Litany, that album that was out at the end of 20th century, it was just kind of like the turning point for us. Since then, I mean, the next album recorded right after, it was a bit slowed down, you know, so I just tried to smuggle up to the music, to Vader music, a little bit different feelings. So more slower songs, more catchy songs started to be created. And also we are using that in the studio and on stage, some samples, the background that we used for a couple of albums. And, you know, after 2 decades, it came that time that I felt the same hunger, you know, to get back to the roots, to the real Vader from old days when we just focus on speed. And, of course, this is not just the same Vader. This is that Vader plus 20 more years of experience traveling, you know, knowing the world.
Sure.
And working. And but still, this is same style and the same class of songs, if I can name that, like short, blasting, you know,
sure.
Rough and with no mercy, you know. So Litany was like that, and SOLITUDE IN MADNESS is kind of, you know, and of course not the same, but if I could ever like compare this album with any other Vader album, that would be definitely Litany or Black to the Blind.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this, Peter. How important has it been now that you've had what I think is the longest stable lineup that you've ever had as Vader? I mean, this lineup that you have now is going on a decade together, you know, the exact same lineup. Has that helped focus both you and the music to, you know, to get to where you've gotten to now?
You know, of course, this is a perfect situation. Of course, it's almost like 9 years we together, so definitely is the most stable lineup ever in the Vader history. It helps definitely because like we know each other much better, so we know what to expect from each other. You know, we spent so much time on tour together, and we still do not hate each other.
Right.
So that's a huge success. And but maybe because like after the touring, so we still try to spend our life in privacy with our own families, our own friends, you know. It's not that much time for that, but still. And of course, the whole procedure of, you know, creation like did not really change, you know. It's just easy to work with somebody you know better, and you were working for so long time together, so actually like we are progressing together parallel, so that helps definitely. Sure. If I can say so, as a composer, you know, in a band. And but all in all, you know, I had so many changes in the past, so it's definitely if I would need just to work with somebody else, that wouldn't be like the end of the world, you know.
Right.
But as I said, Lo, I really like to stay in a stable lineup because it's just I can focus on a progress and focus on the music, and no need just to think about how to organize something, or you know what I mean, like everything in a band. So right, you know, I'm absolutely happy that even if we're so different in ages. You know, James actually could be my son, literally, so no problem. And the age, you know, doesn't mean problems. As you see, like, we can just be different people with different character and different age and still work as a perfect engine or perfect team. And on stage and outside of stage, you know. So that's good, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Peter, the one thing that has become a characteristic of Vader for the last several releases, and you know, probably about a decade or so now, is that there always seems to be just a ton of music being written, whether it's an album like this one that has, you know, a bunch of songs, or usually there's an accompanying EP that comes out 6, 7, 8 months ahead of it with 5 or 6 new songs as well. It just seems like you always have a lot more music than a lot of other bands. Is it a case where you just have so much music to release, or is it that you just really don't like to make decisions on what to release versus what to just say, nah, not good enough?
New songs, new riffs, new ideas, they coming up instantly, it's not just like we got new ideas just when we entered the studio for next album release. Okay. It's not like that. The last decade was not that like the first years of Vader existence. In those years, really, we were releasing way more, and almost between each album. So we had something like live album, like EP, or single, or like some like the cover songs compilation or whatever. Lately, since we started to cooperate with Nuclear Blast, actually, they were not that much interested in releasing smaller releases, Mm-hmm. The main points were full-length albums, and so we focused on that one. But there were situations last year when actually we were ready to enter the studio and record album. Actually we were ready to start recording of a new album at the end of 2018. But the situation forced us just to delay the album. First, everything started with the idea of changing the studio, because after almost 15 years of recordings in one studio and the same producers, even if that's great studio, and even if I really like to work in Hertz studios, so you need a chance just to change. You need new to breathe with new air, to change the producer, to be motivated in some different place by somebody else,
Sure.
to lift up the sound, to change it. And it was about the time to do it. And so we decided to just change it, totally. There were some options. Finally, we took decision to go to England to a Grindstone studio to work with Scott Atkins. Okay. It was actually one of the reasons. One of the reasons was that our James, drummer, so he was working in the studio with Scott before. So it makes to me that it's not that stressful for him to record his part, and actually drums. It's it's a backbone, so it's the most important. And I really wanted to give him the 100% freedom, to make him 100% feeling good. You know what I mean? Yeah. And of course, because that's the first time for years since I was working somewhere else. So to me, that was also kind of motivating. Scott is a pretty motivating person, Sure. Actually, that was him who forced me, for example, just to focus a little bit more than usually on a vocal part. I never really spent that much time for releasing a vocal, which is a huge difference, because the vocal on the last album, it's just the most thing, just the best, and mm-hmm. if I can compare. First, I just divide the work and tried to make it different on the different songs, not make it boring, just sounding the same for a whole album. So I started that idea a couple of albums before, but this is just a monumentum when I found a producer who just even got that feeling, right, and forced me and helped me just to experiment in some part. It's also the English on the albums, mm-hmm. is probably the most experienced. So I used the opportunity when we recorded the album in England, with English producers. So I asked just to help. So he tried just to help me how to pronounce, just to make this growling or screaming still clear, just to understand, for English speaking persons as well. Sure. Yeah. So that was also, and of course the whole sound in general. So starting with drums, which is way more natural. So we recorded using as less electronic as possible. So no triggers everywhere. It's just microphones. And I use, because James is typical old school drummers. We're fucking strong hands. Right. So I would be just blasphemy don't to use that, opportunity. So he actually created great. So we are working on tracks. So we're changing that pretty much even after we got the song already done, and we felt that we should add something or just to change something. We did it in the studio. So that was the process. Was like very creative, Mm-hmm. And guitars, of course. This is so you read off of the mud on guitar. So there is. Now you can just recognize the bass and guitars like working together. There's still the same style. We still play, death, thrash metal, whatever, but it's still brutal extreme metal. But there's not that compressed. Guitars are more sharp, bright, and more, attacking, and compared to what we were recording in Head Studios. And this is actually the main difference that made the whole sound maybe not total, but still different, compared to the previous releases,
Sure.
And, it might be interesting for all those fans who knows us since like several years, mostly on the albums recorded in the last 15 years in Head Studios.
Sure. Well, you certainly, the production is a big upgrade. I mean, just this current album, Solitude in Madness, and the EP that came roughly a year ago, Thy Messenger, are phenomenal as far as the actual just sound quality that comes through your speakers or through your headphones. And if I have any bitch at all about anything that you've done, it's that you took so long between Thy Messenger and now, because I've been trying to get people to listen to Thy Messenger for the entire time it's been since it came out. I think it came out last April or May or something. It is damn near perfect. It's a damn near perfect death metal release with it clocks in at like 15 minutes. It has a Judas Priest tune that's sort of memorable, and it has just 4 really great songs on it as well. It's so good.
EP was actually something like we decided to do because we already knew that the album will be delayed. So we did not even know that it's going to be that delayed. But when we entered the studio in May, we released the album in May. Actually, it was the same time when we started recording the SOLITUDE in Madness, in England. So actually, that was just the last minute decision, just to enter this Head Studio for the last time before changing the producer. And to release the few songs from actually this album is supposed to be part of Solitude in Madness, just after we recorded that, I decided to leave just to keep some tunes just on that release. So I kept the opening song, and I also, of course, kept Priest Steeler cover because it's a cover. So actually, that was like additional songs on that released. Sure. And the next songs, they were actually a part of Solitude Madness, and that's why they are in Solitude Madness. Just re-released, recorded in next studio, in different studio with different sound. But all in all, it was a good decision. After what happened, it took a year, since Thy Messenger was released and till the new full-length album will be released. So nobody knew that that's going to take that much time, but all in all, the situation just forced us to do that. We're supposed to record the album and release the album at the end of the year, but then after the discussion with the Nuclear Blast office, so we decided just to push it a bit to January or February, or after that. So we still, the Nuclear Blast still asked us just for a little bit more time for promotion, for preparing everything, because that was, always between years, there's like a busy time for every record company. And so actually after that many months of waiting, so this 2 months did not make any difference actually, for fans.
Right.
So all in all, that was, I think, good decision to record EP, even if I did not really wanted to do that.
Right.
But after what happened was just something for fans just to prepare for what's coming with the new album,
Awesome.
I guess.
Awesome. Well, Peter, the new album is called Solitude of Madness. It is definitely worth getting. It's from Vader, and I will personally again recommend Thy Messenger, which is as good an EP as you're ever going to get from anybody that does death metal. And Peter, as a tradition on the show, we always let the artist pick a closing track from the new album. Maybe tell us a quick story about it. So what would you like us to wrap this interview up with?
One of those songs?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what? Maybe shortly I say what forced me just to keep some songs to make the whole album sounding like more different, because actually if I would follow my first feel and my first plan, so the whole album would be mostly like the opening track, both for Thy Messenger and Solitude in Madness. But when we were in the studio and after we were like listening these songs, so I finally decided just to re-record it, Emptiness, this song, which actually is a leftover after the Empire session, because this is a riff I had no just time to release it. We have all songs collected already. The whole album was complete. So this was this riff and something I decided to left for later. And just because it's so different, this song got that heavy metal thrash, eerily thrash, feel, and that's why I decided to keep it. It's on the B side, but still. And the same with the other song. It's called "Dancing in a Slaughterhouse." This is a cover song of one of the most popular bands in Poland, and just in Poland. The band is called Acid Drinkers. And this is one of the covers they made. They recorded a lot of albums, and they were about to release a tribute album, which is a compilation of cover songs and recorded by many absolutely different bands, not just metal bands. And of course, because we have friends, they asked us to if we're interested. We were. Sure. And after we recorded the song, it sounded so great. It's like, I don't know, how can I compare it? To us, it sounded like early 80s, early thrash metal bands, Okay. It's just that riff with this, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so we said, like, why not? It's covered now, but we don't need it, but it's just keep it, because it makes the whole album sounding even more interesting,
Sure.
Right. And the only one which is left by the program and by the plan is the last song on the album, Bones. Actually, this song is going to be our third single that will be released soon before the whole album will be released. And just because this is the slowest song on the album. Mm. It's kind of tradition, I think, for last few albums or even more, that the croning song, it's usually different, usually slower, It's something just, to live kind of feeling it, It's just, I shouldn't do that, It was just always kind of decision, and I always was following that tradition, like, all right, let's leave this at the last one,
Sure.
Same here. So first I wanted just to do against that tradition, but all in all, finally, I said, no, let's leave that at the end. But it's different, but it's still heavy.
Sure.
It's still kind of old schoolish, but I'm sure that's going to be one of those heats that fans will love, especially when we're going to stay on stage and play live.
Absolutely.
Play it live. So,
All right. Well,
just my few, thoughts about those three examples,
All right. Well, let's check it out right now. Let's play some Vader. It is Vader right here on your Classic Metal Show.